You're listening to Ideal Practice, episode number 18. I don't offer free consultations anymore, y'all, not in either one of my businesses. I don't do it as a therapist, and I don't do it as a private practice coach. Does that sound mean? Well, it's not. Does it sound like bad business strategy? It's not. And today, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you what I've learned about this and what I do instead that works so much better. This is a good one, y'all. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Wendy Pitts-Reeves, and with over 2 decades of experience in the private practice world, I've built my 6-figure business while learning a lot of lessons the hard way. This is the first podcast that shows you how to apply the principles of energy, alignment, and strategy to build a practice that is profit-centered, but people-forward. This is the Ideal Practice Podcast. Hey guys, and welcome. This is Wendy. How are you all doing? Are you staying nice and cool in this summer heat? I hope so. If you listen to the podcast on the go, maybe you and I have been hanging out together and I don't even know it, at the pool or at the lake. I kind of hope so. Or if you're near the mountains like I am, we might be sticking our toes in a creek together. That's kind of fun to think about, isn't it? Well, if you're enjoying this, if the podcast has been keeping you company, I just have to ask, have you left a review yet? I can't tell you how much it fills my heart when I hear from you guys. So if you're moved to share a little love with a review, I just want to say thank you. And if you've already done so, thank you 10 times. It's really easy to do. All you got to do is go to lovethepodcast.com/ideal practice. lovethepodcast.com/ideal practice. Find the platform that you like there and follow the prompts. It's easy peasy, and I will be eternally grateful. For real. All right, enough of that. Now let's get into what I want to talk about today. So many of you might employ this very common strategy in your practice. How often do you go to somebody's website or look at their online profile and they say, free 15-minute consultation offered, or call for your free 20-minute consultation? I did that myself for a very long time, but I don't do it anymore. I also have many times had folks call me and say, can I just pick your brain? Can we meet for lunch? Would you want to have a cup of coffee? I got an idea I want to run by you, and I would love to know what you think about it. Those are fun conversations, right? But I also don't do a lot of those anymore. I do a little bit, but not much. I'm much more conscious and thoughtful about how and when I might say yes to that. How about you? How often do you, quote, offer a free consultation, unquote, to your prospective clients? How often do you go out with a colleague or a friend and offer all kinds of really good value just because you love them, just because you can, just because it's easy, just because you got to eat lunch anyway, well, so why not? Well, I want to challenge that a little bit. I want you to think about doing things a little differently. Several years ago, a coach I was working with at the time, I've worked with lots of coaches over the years, y'all, and they have all been excellent. Every single one of them has taught me something I really needed to know. I have no complaints. This particular coach was trying to help me with a few things I wanted to change in my counseling practice. And she said to me one day, she was just kind of telling me her own story. And she told me about how she and her husband had decided to go do a little couples counseling. And they went to 5 different therapists before they found the one that was a good fit for them. And she said, I really wish there was a better process for how to find the counselor who works for you. Could you do something different like that yourself? Well, that made me think. At the same time, I had just been through a series where I had met several folks, like 2 or 3 different people, for lunch or for a morning coffee where we'd spend an hour and a half, 2 hours. And without meaning to, I would find myself essentially coaching. Here's how you solve this problem. Here's how you could try this really cool thing in your practice. Here's how you could implement this idea. Because so often it was fun. It was easy. I can't hardly stop myself. I'm likely to coach anybody, whether they want it or not sometimes. But along the way, I began to realize there too that I was leaving money on the table by doing that, to be honest. And it wasn't really serving the way I want to. So I stopped. All of this happened within a year or two of each other. I stopped doing the free consultations for folks who might be interested in counseling, and I stopped doing the coffees most of the time, unless it really was just hanging out for coffee, right? So I want to share with you why I don't do those kinds of free consults anymore and what I do instead. First of all, when you tell people, call here or send me an email here or sign up here for your free 15-minute consultation, there's a part of me, honestly, that feels like that's kind of like a fake offer because I'm going to call them back anyway. If somebody calls me about counseling, I'm going to call them back and I'm probably going to talk to them for 10 or 15 minutes anyway, right? So that feels a little bit like kind of a fake offer. This is purely my thing. You guys may be much better at this than I am. I'm not real good at keeping it to 10 or 15 minutes. Back when I ran a full-time private practice and I was seeing 25 people a week, I can't tell you how many nights I would be at my office for an hour or more at the end of the day, just returning calls, and I would find myself talking to somebody for 30 minutes, sometimes more, because people want to tell you their story, right? And sometimes I could cut that off. Sometimes I managed that better, but sometimes I didn't because my heart is in it and because I want to hear it. It's hard not to, right? So one of the reasons I don't do that so-called free consult anymore is because I'm going to call them back anyway. And there's a really good chance we're going to talk for more than 15 minutes. So that's the first thing. The second reason I don't do this anymore is because it dawned on me that I'm not really serving them. For one thing, just hanging out on the phone for a few minutes doesn't really help them learn much about me and the way I work. And honestly, it doesn't tell me everything I want to know about them because I'm caught up in this battle about, I don't really want to know everything unless we're going to do a proper session, right? It's a bit of a conflict of interest. I can't afford to give away my time in any depth enough to actually learn what I need to learn in order to know whether I can help you. And honestly, you're not getting enough of me either to know that, right? In fact, what I think personally works way better, I think a deeper conversation serves both of us. It allows us to make a connection. It helps both of us make a much more informed decision about what's best for you going forward. One more thing about doing a free consult is it doesn't set you apart in any way as a practice, as a business owner. I can't tell you how many times I have said to a potential client on the phone, I don't do things like other people do. Have you done this before? If you have, then you kind of know the drill. Like the way it usually works is you find somebody who takes your insurance if you're using insurance or who has a payment option that works for you. You find somebody who's got a time that you can make, and then you schedule and you just kind of hope for the best, right? Well, I don't do it that way. I like to have a deeper, richer conversation where I can learn what you really need. And then I will have a better sense about whether I'm the right person for you. And if I'm not, I can still make a better referral for you. So I do something different. And then I go in and I tell them what that something different is. So from a business strategy standpoint, I actually think it's really smart if you're not like everybody else. So what I did instead, on the counseling side, I began to develop a special kind of initial consult. It has its own name, it has its own structure, it has its own time, amount of time that I devote to it, it has its own pricing. The truth is, it's a bit of a larger investment for them up front, even though it's a little bit of a discount off of my actual time, my actual hourly fee. It still feels like a lot more because I'm doing more. The way I set mine up, I'm doing more and they're going to pay more. But the beauty of it is they get more. We have a much richer conversation. I actually don't waste much time on the phone at all. And yeah, I'm saying waste on purpose because that's not where the work is. The work is going to be when we get together and have a real conversation. And I require a deposit. And this is an important piece of this strategy. I require a non-refundable deposit that is roughly half of what the full cost will be. And they have to pay that when they schedule. I have my system set up so that people can schedule online, which I highly recommend. And the tool that I use, you can set it up where they have to pay when they schedule, or you can make it where they don't. It's optional. For the initial consult, I have it where they do actually have to pay at least half of it in the moment. And it is a non-refundable deposit. They can pay the rest of it when they come. Now, they can pay the whole thing right then, and oftentimes people do, which is lovely. But they also have the option of paying part of it now, part of it on the day that we meet. What's beautiful about this is I tell folks, this is the normal way people do it. This is how I do it. And what I have found, because this is true, is that people love this. I can't tell you how many times I have had potential clients say to me, goodness gracious, that sounds awesome. Why doesn't everybody do that? And I'm like, because they're not talking to me or they haven't listened to me. I have often recommended this to friends and colleagues of mine. It is an absolutely brilliant strategy because I tell my clients this way, you're not committing to anything. This gives you a chance to see what it feels like to work with me. It gives me a chance to make sure I really am the one to help you. Because y'all know the drill. There's a really good chance that you can work with almost anybody. Your training is extensive. You have thousands of hours of education, of experience. There's a really good chance you can help almost everybody. But there are certain people that you are especially well suited for. And I don't know about you, but there are not often, there are a few times when I will have someone in my office or on a Zoom call and I'll be like, you know what? I could help you and it would be fine. We'd do great together, but I actually know somebody else that I think is probably a better fit. And here's why. And I think I owe it to you to tell you about them. I'm going to recommend that you try that first. And look at this. Is that not service? Because that's what I do maybe 5 to 8% of the time. The rest of the time, I'm going to say, you know what? This is awesome. What we've talked about today is right up my alley. I can absolutely help you with this. And in fact, I think I'm probably one of the better ones to help you with this because this is such a part of what I do. And I've enjoyed this conversation. I would love to work with you. How does it feel to you? One of this sort of unexpected, I don't know if I want to call it a consequence, but one of the unexpected impacts that this has had is I've had clients tell me two things. One, they feel like they are also free to decide if this is a good fit for them. So they're not stuck and they're going to learn something just from the conversation with me about what they're looking for. But I've also had clients sort of say that they feel like it's almost like an audition. I've had people say, phew, did I make it? And I don't really want people to feel like that. But it's not a bad thing, guys, when potential clients feel like you're the one who's deciding whether or not you're willing to work with them. That actually elevates you a little bit in their eyes. That adds value. That's not a bad thing. So I don't do free consults because they don't work. All that does is it's just giving a name to something I'm going to do anyway. I don't do free consults because I don't think they actually help anybody. And I don't do free consults because I don't think it's really good business strategy. Whether we're talking about on the coaching side or we're talking about on the counseling side, I start everybody off with some kind of a unique, longer, more in-depth conversation that, yes, they have to pay for. They get more value out of it, and I do too. And it works. It works for everybody. It's a win-win all the way around. So here's what I'm going to recommend for you. Here's a little exercise I'm going to suggest for you. Take 30 minutes sometime in the next few days. Put it on your calendar when you're going to do this. Take 30 minutes and do just a little quickie practice review. I want you to go back and look at your phone records for the past month. Wait a minute. You don't have phone records? Do you not keep a log of the calls that you get and when you return them and what happens on those calls? Well, if you don't, let me recommend that because that is also a very helpful thing to have in your practice. But if you have this, go back and look at your calls. How much time would you estimate that you have spent on free calls with clients who never actually scheduled with you? Go through and count them up. Estimate how much time you did with each one of those. Now, take each one of those calls, and if you had instead said to them, I don't do things like everybody else. Here's where I start. Here's how this works. And if you'd like to work with me, all you have to do is schedule here this way, and here's the cost. Imagine how much money would you have made if you had offered them a paid initial consult instead that had its own structure, its own name, its own pricing. Figure that out. How much time did you spend on calls with people that you didn't get paid for? And how much money would you have made if instead you had offered them real value right off the bat? It could be a really eye-opening exercise for you to do this. And if you come away from that thinking, good Lord, what am I doing? Wendy's right. I should totally do this. I want you to consider whether changing the way that you start with everybody in your practice with a specialized first visit of your own might be the right way to go. This is a really, really effective strategy that has added to my income and has added to the value, the service that I bring my clients. Y'all, even if you only see them one time, they're going to go away having learned something about themselves, having a greater understanding of whatever the problem is that they came to you with, and feeling better. It's really a win-win. So try it. All right? That's what I got for you today. Have a good one, everybody, and I will see you next time. Hey guys, before you go, I'd love to offer you just a little dose of extra support. We talk a lot here on Ideal Practice about specific strategies for moving your practice forward. And when we do, like today, I hope you're inspired. I hope you're fired up even, like, I'm so ready to do this, Wendy. Yeah. But I also know that when you sit down to actually try some of the things you learn here on the show, you might struggle a little. Sometimes when you decide to implement a new strategy or try a new idea, what seemed perfectly clear before, all of a sudden, well, it just isn't. That's completely normal, y'all. The idea is the easy part. Taking imperfect action is how you move that idea forward. And the good news is I can help you with that. It's amazing what a difference it can make just to talk through your ideas with someone else out loud, someone who gets it. It's even better if you can actually work on those ideas at the same time. So if you have a problem you want to solve or an idea you want to try, but you just don't know where to start, a quick start consult might be just the thing. This is a unique standalone session that I offer that gives you access to high-quality coaching without the expense of a full-blown coaching commitment. It's also a great way to test the waters and just see what coaching is even like. We don't just talk about your business around here, we work on it together. And you can learn more about this over on my website at wendypittsreeves.com/consult.